What is up, my Bullymong Slayers? My name is Iceberg of Iceberg's Gaming here with the great new tips and trick deep analysis video. Today I'm going to be talking about shields in Borderlands 2. I'm going to be saying all the different types of shields, all their different effects, what shields you're going to want to use for your character, and much, much more. So that's sounds interesting to you. Please stick around. Alright guys, thank you so much for sticking around. Once again, today we're going to be talking about shields in Borderlands 2. Yes, very excited, the thing that keeps you from dying. There's a lot to know, believe it or not. You might be thinking, well, shields, those must be basic. There must not be any tips, tricks, analysis to offer. But that is where you are wrong, my good sirs. There is plenty of things to talk about with shields, and I'm going to be laying them out in a clear and simple fashion. Well, hopefully a clear and simple fashion for you people. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first I'm going to be talking about the different types of shields. There are several different types of shields. There are very basic ones and there are very complex ones. So just like in all my deep analysis videos, I'm going to start with the simple and then move into the very complex. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we have the standard shield, which is made by Theodore, don't know how to pronounce it, don't really care. And that shield is your basic run-of-the-mill shield. All that it's going to be white. All that it's going to do is just have some basic shields. So it's just going to basically raise your shield capacity, nothing more. All it's going to do is keep you alive a bit longer, and you're going to have kind of a bonus health bar, so to speak. So let's get moving down the list to the more complicated. And the first one that is brand new to Borderlands 2, and that is Roid. That is made by Bandit, and this increases melee damage when depleted. Also, in case you want to follow along, I should have a chart on the screen right about now. Maybe I'll have it a little bit before this. That is going to have all of these, kind of this nice little chart and graph of all the different types of shields, as well as their little descriptions that I am reading off here. So feel free to follow along, or if not, I should be explaining it perfectly well, so you don't even need this chart. But anyway, let's get back on topic. So we have this Roid shield. Basically, this increases melee damage when depleted. So this is great if you are a melee character, i.e. 0. So this means when your shield are down, your melee attacks are going to do a bonus damage. And this is great for characters that are going to be up close, like I said, like 0. So if you have a lot of skills invested in your melee, I would highly recommend using this type of shield, because when your shields do go down, you kind of get into that rough area. You don't want to go down, your health is starting to get low, you can melee people. If you need to reload, it's a great shield to have. It's great in a pinch. So, but if you are not one of those melee characters, you don't find yourself, you kind of stay back, you're a very cautious player, then you probably don't need this Roid shield. However, you might want this next shield. Now this next shield is called the Turtle Shield. This is made by Pangolin, something like that. It sacrifices health to increase shield capacity. Now, at the very beginning of this game, I thought these shields were amazing. They're very cool. What this is going to do is going to make your shield is going to do a lot more than any of your friends. However, you're going to lose some of your max health. Now, over time, I kind of have a different kind of feeling about this shield. So basically, if you don't know, if you have your shield on and someone attacks you with a shock attack, your shield is going to be depleted much faster than it would be with your normal health. So although your shield will be higher with this turtle shield, it'll actually be going down a lot less when you're facing shock enemies, and then your health will be very low and you'll be easy to kill. However, if they are using a fire gun, then this is going to be great, because you have a shield that's very high, fire is not very effective against shields, and then when they do get to your health, you don't have very much, but it doesn't matter because they shouldn't get to your health. So basically what this means is if you are facing shock enemies, you do not want a turtle shield. If you are facing fire enemies, you do want a turtle shield. So that about concludes it for that. So let's move on down to the booster shield. Now booster shields are once again something brand new and unique in Borderlands 2. It's something that I really enjoy. These are manufactured by Doll, and the description is shield can deploy booster packs that can be picked up to refill shield. And these act very similar to health packs in Borderlands 2. Health packs are dropped on the ground, you pick them up, and it refills your health pretty rapidly. Now these are the same exact thing, except you pick them up and then they aid to your shield, which is great. It's very nice to have. You'll notice that your shield goes down rather quickly, and you want to get that up very quickly, because you know shields are what's taking most of your damage in Borderlands 2. Your shield is your bread and butter, is what keeps you alive the longest. So this is great in that you can refill your shield without having to go hide in a corner. because you'll have these little booster packs on the field right in front of you. So overall, pretty good little shield. If you find it, I highly recommend using it. But let's move away from that and let's go to the absorption. Let's go to the absorption, something like that, and that is manufactured by Vladop. In its description, the shield may absorb incoming bullets, adding them to your reserve. Now you need to note, this is not going to have the damage come in. That is not going to help you or heal you. It is just the bullets themselves. This means if you're using sniper rifles, something like that, that means that bullets coming in can be added to your sniper rifle count, your assault rifle count, etc. So this is purely for generating ammunition. So if you find yourself running out of ammunition a lot in Borderlands 2, this is definitely a shield for you, as this means the bullets that are coming at you can be added to your inventory. However, for me personally, I don't run out of ammo very often unless it's with sniper rifles, so this really wouldn't be the ideal shield for me. But if you do find yourself running out of ammo, either pick up this shield or, in my opinion, I would just highly recommend getting the weapon upgrades, the weapon storage upgrades, that is. And those can be found in Crazy Earl's shop inside of Sanctuary. So overall, it's a decent little shield. It definitely helps if you need ammunition a lot. But let's keep moving down to Amplify, which is made by Hyperion. Its description is the fully charged shield adds power to the next gunshot. Now this is something in Borderlands 2 that has actually gotten a lot of talk. Whether you've heard it or not, it is an amazing brand new addition to Borderlands 2. In that when you shoot and your shield is full, you lose your entire shield. Yes, your entire shield. However, you do bonus damage to that shot that you shoot. So what this means is you will do one shot of massive damage. So there's a huge red flag you need to note while you're using this. You need to be using sniper rifles or shotguns or possibly rocket launchers. If you are not using any of those big one hit lots of damage, then you are wasting this. Do not use it. You'll also find that you're going to find yourself being downed a lot more when using this shield, because you'll shoot once, then your shield is completely gone. You can get picked off very, very easily. Overall, this shield is great if you plan on being a sniper character. You want to hang back, do a lot of damage to big bosses, then just kind of let your shield regenerate and then repeat the process. I would not recommend this for solo play, as you are going to be going down a lot, and unfortunately you don't have any friends to revive you. So that's my analysis on Amplify. So let's keep moving to Adaptive, which is made by Anshin. And its description is, shield changes elemental resistance to the last elemental damage taken. Now this is one of those adaptive shields, of course, because it's called adaptive. This means whatever shot is being fired at you, you are going to become resistant to. So in case you haven't seen some of my other videos where I talk about elemental damage in Borderlands 2, it works something like this. If you use a corrosive gun on a corrosive enemy, that enemy is going to resist it, and it's going to do around, I believe, like a quarter of the damage that it normally would. So bottom line is you do not want to use the same type of weapon on that person. So what this does is if you're being shot by a fire, monster, enemy, whatnot, then your shield becomes resistant to fire, which means all of their shots are now going to do lots less damage. I think this is a very underrated shield in Borderlands 2, just because it's rather simple, and that it doesn't actually do any kind of big wow factor for you, but it will keep you alive a lot longer, which of course is the main goal of Borderlands 2, besides to get loot, because we all love loot. Loot is great. That's what makes Borderlands 2 so amazing. But let's keep moving. Now we're not here to talk about loot. If you want to see loot, you can check out some of my other videos. So let's move down to Explosive Spike. So let's move on to Explosive Spike by Torque. Basically, with the description of this is shield damages nearby enemies with explosion. Basically, as soon as your shield is depleted, you're going to make a little explosion that will not harm you and will just harm the enemies around you. Which is good, it's decent. It's one of those things that when your shield is down, you're kind of in a critical area, so if there are people around you want to get rid of them quickly, and this kind of does just that. It's very similar with the Roid shield, in that it's very catered to when you end up losing all of your shields and you kind of need to get away. You need to get away quickly and deal with the enemies that are right in front of you. So this is good in that respect. And then we also move on to the Explosive Nova, which is also made by Torque, and it says shield dissipates in an explosion when depleted. So this is better in that when your shield goes down, it is making this explosive damage, and not just when it is depleted. So when someone takes down half your shield, say, you're going to make an explosion. When they take down a quarter of your shield, it's going to make an explosion, etc, etc. So basically, when you get the choice between Explosive Spike or Explosive Nova, you're definitely going to want to pick up the Explosive Nova shield. So now we have two more, and they are made by our amazing manufacturer melee wand, so you can expect they're going to have some sort of elemental effect. And if you did expect that, you would be exactly right. So this is very similar to the Torque in that they have an elemental spike and an elemental nova. They do the same exact thing. So just to reiterate, elemental spike, shield damages nearby enemies with elemental effects. So this means as soon as your shield is depleted, you're going to do massive amounts of fire damage to everyone around you, massive amounts of corrosive, slag, whatnot. It depends specifically on the shield. Then elemental nova is as your shield starts to go down, you're going to do slag, corrosive, etc. to the enemies around you. So that concludes it for all of the shield's types. Now you may be asking yourself, whoa, wait, I have some that are resistant to shield, resistant to different effects, I have some of this, some of that. Yes, that is correct. Different modifiers such as resistance to certain types of corrosive, elemental damage, etc. that it can be present on any of the shields I just listed. So you could have a standard shield, but it could be resistant to something else, or you could have a roid shield and it could be resistant to something. So you need to note that any of these shields can't have a resistance factor on them, which of course makes them a better shield. So there are also unique and legendary shields in Borderlands 2. Those are those very rare orange guns that we all strive to get, not guns in this case, but shields that we all strive to find in those chests and by looting those bosses, doing amazing farm routes, stuff like that. However, there is so many, I wanted to cover them all, because last time I didn't get to cover all of the, I believe, grenades, so I want to make a separate video on that. So that part 2 video should be up probably tomorrow if you're actually watching this on the day of, which will be the 17th or 18th, the second part will be up. So until then, I hope you enjoyed the video at hand. So I'm going to do a quick reiteration on what I just talked about, because I talked about a lot of information, threw a lot at you, I threw a lot of analysis at you, so I want you to make sure you get the main components right now. There's the standard shield, which is made by Theodore, has normal behavior. There's the roid shield that is made by Bandit that increases melee damage when depleted. You should only be using this with like a 0 character that has strong melee damage to begin with. There's also the turtle shield, which lowers your health but raises your shield. It's very good against fire enemies, not so good against shock enemies. Then you have the booster shield, which basically makes it so you can pick up little packs that it will buff up your shield, very similar to health vials in Borderlands 2. Then we have the absorption, which makes bullets coming in be added to your ammo counter. We have amplify, which is one of those things that it's only good for sniper, missile launcher, and shotgun characters that are going to be staying from a distance. You're going to do lots of damage on your first shot, but you're going to sacrifice your entire shield, which is a very big deal. Then we move down to adaptive, which basically makes it so whatever you last got shot with, you become resistant to that. So if you get shot to fire, you are now resistant to fire until someone shoots you with something else. You only want to use this when you're being attacked by a bunch of fire enemies. You do not want to be using this when you're being attacked by like 3 different enemies, such as shock, slag, and fire at the same time. Then we have the elemental spike, elemental nova. Basically that means explosions are emitted whenever your shields get lower. And then we have elemental spike, elemental nova, which means you do elemental effects when your shield gets lower. Okay, that was a lot to talk about. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you didn't understand something, I recommend you kind of rewind. I know I talked about a lot of information, but it's very hard to kind of condense this into a timely manner because there's a shit ton of stuff to talk about. So I think that's going to conclude it. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you have any questions about this, like I said, it's a very kind of complex topic. I will do the best I can to answer them. Just leave your questions below in the comments. If you like what I'm doing, you don't like what I'm doing, leave those down in the comments below. I'll respond to those as quickly as possible. Also, if you think this video deserved it, I would always appreciate a tap on that like button. It only takes a couple seconds, and it helps me immensely. And if you like this kind of stuff, I do Borderlands 2 tips, tricks, deep analyses, which this is, and stuff like that. Consider clicking that subscribe button above. So I think that's going to about do it, guys. Once again, thank you so very much for watching.